Today on The Social Worker is not your mama's sex talk. My name is Sarah Joyner, I'm the social worker, and today's special guest is YY Wei, who is an LCSW and certified sex therapist. YY Wei is the founder of the Relationship Center of Colorado. She is a relationship therapist and coach, as well as a certified sex therapist. YY is passionate about helping people cultivate more fulfilling lives and satisfying intimate relationships. She focuses on giving people concrete skills and practical methods to navigate their life circumstances and relationship dynamics successfully. YY's mission is to help people more positively embrace their sexuality so they can live a life with freedom, authenticity, and vitality. Hey guys, it's Sarah, the social worker, and today I have YY Wei with me, and we're going to learn about sexual health and sexuality, and she has an amazing background and a really unique platform, and I can't wait for her to share with us. So thank you for joining us today.
Well, I'm so glad to be here too. Talking about sex, sexuality, relationship is always my passion. It gives me the high, it turns me on. So
awesome.
I love being here.
Great, I'm so happy you're here. So can you give us just give us a background about yourself and what led you to this profession?
Sure. So yeah, my name is YY Wei. Sarah already introduced me. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm the founder of the Relationship Center of Colorado. I'm a relationship expert, coach, and therapist, but I'm also a certified sex therapist, right? My passion, ever since I could remember, has always been about understanding people, helping people. And so, of course, not surprisingly, I got into psychology in my undergrad. But it wasn't until my junior year college I heard the term sex therapy. I'm like, what the hell is sex therapy? I mean, it's sex, right? It can't be bad. I mean, it's sex. It can be bad. But what is sex therapy? So I look into it and I find it to be so fascinating. So the beginning, I was drawn to the field of doing sex therapy work. And then, of course, started doing a lot of relationship work was because of my curiosity. I just know the importance of having a really compassionate relationship with myself. I think that's the foundation. I think that's the core for all of our sexuality or relationship work, right? Relationship with ourselves, that's gonna determine our relationship with our loved ones. Could be family, could be our partners, could be friends, sometimes even with strangers too. And then on top of it, I was just really drawn to the concept of sex and therapy together. Because before that, I was young to admit sex. It's just something you do. You just do it.
Yeah.
But how does sex and therapy go together? And then the more I got into it, the more I found sex therapy to be so powerful and empowering. And then later on, after all these years of doing my own personal work on top of doing professional work, I realized that I think the core reason I was so drawn to sex therapy was because my own sexuality, who I am, who I was, who I am, and I can say who I will be, have always been more often than not suppressed by my own family, by my own culture. And I will even say by my own peers too growing up. So I think that's why, even though not knowing their reason at that time, after all these years, it makes sense why I was so drawn to that, because I want to have a better relationship with myself, not based on other people's expectation, and a healthier sexual relationship with myself, not based on other people's expectations, not having shame about it, not having guilt about it, all of it. And I think that's really coming together more and more clearly for me. So it's a lot of personal work. It's a journey. It's a process.
It's a journey and a process. Well, I'm excited to dig deep into how we can help others start their journey. So kind of talk to me about what a day-to-day or everyday role looks like for a sex therapist. What can you expect when we schedule with you? And just kind of give us a breakdown of what that job looks like.
Well, first of all, for me, it's not a job, right?
It's a passion.
It's not a job. Yeah, it's for me, it's not a job, it's a calling. Also, it's a way of living. My husband asked me a few months ago, like, babe, do you still get excited going to your office and do your thing? I'm like, why shouldn't I? I mean, I get to talk about sex all the time. I get to tell people what to do. and I get paid for it. It
That's
doesn't get better
perfect.
than that. I
That's
know.
perfect. It's a perfect job.
Exactly. It doesn't get better than that. So I mean, that is partially joking, but there is some truth to it. I go to work, right? It's work, but it's really my passion. I get like, in case you can't, I get excited going there to work with my clients, especially clients come in that's like, you know what? I really want something better. I know it's going to be challenging because I will be working with you. I have the reputation that if you want to work with YY, things will get better, but it's not going to be easy.
You got to do the work.
You got to do the work, right? I'm always there 120% with my clients. But also let my clients know, I will give you my all. But here's the thing, I can't do your sex for you. I can't do your relationship for you. So if you want things to get better, I will be your support, but you'll be the driver. And it's going to require work. But the funny thing about the work is it might be challenging at the beginning, but it get a lot easier because at the beginning, it's a new way of living, new way of practicing. So a lot of my clients just like, wait, hold on. While I'm having sex with my partner, we have to talk? Like, yeah, because you guys haven't been talking for how many years? The longest couples I've worked with, they've been together, I think 35 years. Wow. So imagine at least 20 years of not talking about sex and you try to have sex. It's not gonna work, hence they will see me. Right? So it's challenging at the beginning, but once they got the rhythm of it, it becomes their way of living too, and they get a lot easier. And so part of my routine going to work, just I showed up as the best version of me. So that means I know I'm going to see my clients. I have to set a very good boundary within myself. Now you are going as the therapist YY. You still got some personal YY in you because my personality, who I am, it's not, I can't hide it. It's what you see, what you get. But I'm going to talk to you as YY. You're going to see my personality and as the professional therapist working with you. And I'm just going to be open to the stories you're going to tell me. I'm going to accept the challenges too that my clients will throw at me too. And we go from there. And then a lot of our work together is definitely building the relationship. But my way of building the relationship is not about what a lot of the therapists will do up there, which is spending hours being a parent and then repeat it back to you. I understand it's really hard for you. Excuse my French. No shit, it's hard for you. Otherwise, you won't be in my office.
Exactly. If it was easy, I wouldn't need a therapist.
Exactly, right? So so I would tell my clients, I'm very honest. I think 3 of the words that really, from my clients to those my clients' feedback, there could be a 4th one too. But the 3 words that a lot of my clients describe me will be, you are very straightforward, a lot of honesty and integrity. And then the 4th one is, you are very brutal. I will take it. I take it.
Yeah.
I go there, I just showed up. I showed up as, this is me. I'm not gonna hide it because I think I admire all of my clients who come in to see me. Because some of them come in because of what I would consider more typical couples issues. Having fights, repeated arguments, right? Or infidelity. Infidelity has become more and more common. I just did a little talk on infidelity. I will be presenting a session about infidelity too in August, right? But infidelity, communication issues, having repeated fights, having kids. But some of my clients come in because like gender identity, right? Like I know I was born a female. I have a specific client in mind right now. She came in, she's like, yeah, this is the body I was born into, but I never felt like that was me. The pain that she was showing, the pain that she was showing me, and the pain that she was sharing with me, and the openness that she was willing to take a risk to share with me, I have to respect that. I almost say the word vulnerability. I don't like the term vulnerability. For the reasons I have. I tend to focus more on openness, right? So that's just one particular client I have. All my clients who are in the LGBTQIA plus community, right? I have one gay couple. Later on, they told me, they're like, when we first met you, we were thinking, what the heck does a teenage looking teeny tiny Asian woman know about sex relationship and a gay couple?
Yeah.
So they saw me, they are taking a risk with me. So I have to push myself to show up as my most authentic, most present self and let them know this is how we're gonna work. I think that's why even though a lot of my clients find that working with you, we got a lot out of it, even though it was challenging, they're willing to do the work because of that trust, that transparency. And that's nourishing because I tend to see clients back to back. So even a lot of my colleagues ask me, don't you get burned out? I'm like, no. Did you see burnout on this face?
No, you look energized.
I know the more I talk about it, the more, and I wish I could show you, I have my goosebumps right now.
Goosebumps.
Yes, I do. I get energized because, like I said, it's not work for me. It's something that I do because of my own personal experience.
Right.
I think because of that, it's always been my calling. That's why I was willing to fight with my family. 3 generations of Chinese family. You imagine that, just break all the cultural norms because it's my calling.
Right.
It's not a job, it's me showing up. And I also want to show up because through my professional work with my clients, I think personally, I learn a lot from it too. Hence, it enhances my own healing journey. I think life is a journey. It's always healing. Doesn't mean you are necessarily bad. I don't think anyone's bad or damaged. I don't even think any relationship is broken. It's just an ongoing journey that you heal, reheal, heal, reheal again. So I can't ask for a better job.
Yeah. I know. It sounds so cool. It sounds so cool. That's so awesome. Just in this few minutes that we've been talking, I've learned so much. And I want to first thank you for being honest about your experience, your personal experience about growing through your culture and discovering yourself. I think that that's really important to talk about. And I I don't know a lot about the Chinese culture, but I know just personally in my family, sex is not something that we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, yeah, that's how you were made. That's what we do. But I'm not going to teach you. But then I started to make mistakes.
Yeah.
So what do you say to somebody who's kind of in a similar situation as you, that's struggling between their culture and still having respect for their family, but also for an individual who just wasn't taught?
Where do we start and how much time do I have?
You tell me. I'm so excited to hear about this.
So how about this, right? Growing up in my family, so you mentioned that it sounds like you might have got some information at least about this is how you were made, right?
Right.
I got nada.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Nada. And imagine I became a sex therapist.
It was probably a big shock to the family.
It's a big shock for them, but I think at the same time I've been so rebellious according to them when I was just being me my whole life. So even though they were shocked, they were also like, well, what else do you expect from YY?
Right.
He's
Like
not gonna shut up.
Yeah.
Right, because I always fight it. So I think so. Yeah, growing my family, I think the earliest, I would even say the only right memory that I really had about sex was when I first got my period. I just remember my mom brought me to the bathroom. We didn't even talk, just show me the pad, how to put it on. That was it.
Yep.
No talking about sex, and I got nothing.
Yeah, it's just so traumatizing. Like, here I am bleeding, I'm young, I have no idea, and then, okay, go figure it out.
I think what was even more traumatizing was so due to my own personal work, I stopped calling my birth mom mom. I just call her my birth mom. Mm-hmm. And then when I'm speaking in Chinese languages, I call her by her first name, which is a big no-no in Chinese culture.
Right.
But if I'm speaking to my American friends or friends who speak English, I just call her birth mom, right? Mm-hmm. So some of my friends are like, I didn't know that you were adopted. No, I'm not. I wasn't adopted. But right. Because of my own personal work, I've made the conscious choice to call them my birth parents, birth mom and birth dad. Mm-hmm. So back to what I was saying before, with that memory, what was even more traumatizing was my birth mom, you are a woman, I was a woman, woman to woman, you didn't teach me anything better. Woman to woman, you didn't show much respect for my sexuality. Woman to woman, you show me that a woman shouldn't be, you shouldn't advocate for their own sexuality based on how she talked to me.
Right.
Right. So that I think was even more traumatizing because before anyone, you were the woman in my life and I got nothing from you. I think sometimes with people who are going through the journey, without learning the information from the book is one thing, but when they didn't get the information from the people, especially what we consider as the primary people in our life, that's going to be more traumatizing because that's what we see, that's what we met, that's what we learn, that's how we learn how to be. That's why I think there are a lot of people out there, they read the book, but they are still stuck because of their foundational, the very first exposure of human sexuality. Right, so that was more traumatizing. And then even when I started advocating for my own sexuality, right? And then we can talk about what sexuality is too, if you want to. But like, even when I want to advocate my own sexuality, what I got was, how about this? Oh, even some of my clients like, your mom say what? So she will tell me, you would have been perfect if you have a penis. Or she will tell me, why can't you tone it down a little bit so a man will actually want you? Hearing that from your own birth mom, who's also a woman, I think that's the dynamic a lot of people don't see. It's not just a parent-child, mother-daughter relationship. It's a woman-to-woman relationship.
Right.
My birth mom, you are offending me as a woman. As a woman, you tell another woman, shut up, be quiet, so a man will want you. So that means that I have to justify my existence based on a man. Now, what kind of fucked up shit is that?
Yeah.
That's already a mind fuck. Right? So that's what I got from my family, what I was trying to develop, cultivate, just spend some time being curious about my own sexuality. So answer your question, what would I suggest those people who are fighting, right, with their culture or who have nowhere to start? I would say, guys, you've already started it. Because you wouldn't be fighting if you didn't know in you something in me and versus something outside of me doesn't match up. You already got this seed in you. Now what you gotta do is, even if you have to fake it in front of your family, in front of your culture, because for some of my clients, right, just think about myself too, there are some risk involved. If I were younger, before I get my complete independence, could be physical independence, could be financial independence, could be emotional independence. Before I get all those independence, right? If I really show up, I could put myself at risk. I don't want anybody to put yourself at risk. I want you to do your sexuality work, but your safety comes first. That means that if you do know, I do have the seed in me, what am I gonna do with myself to really honor that seed? Even if that means externally you can't do much as of now. Like my LGBT clients, right? Because of the environment, they were restricted. And they might be at risk, get shamed, or get bullied, get hit, because they saw what happened, so they have to hide it. Their journey wasn't pleasant. I've been there. It's not pleasant. It's not living when you had to hide who you really are. But at the same time, if that's what you gotta do to keep yourself safe, you gotta give yourself a huge pat on the back.
Right.
Honor that, nourish that, be curious about it, and then start making mental notes about, oh, because even we have a seed, right? And then we are interacting with other people, watching our environment, we will pick out certain things that really resonate. We all have the experience. When you have that, mental note, picture taken, click, click, click. That's me. And take it in. So even though outside you're not showing much, but inside you are growing that seed. And then simultaneously outside, do what you gotta do, get yourself more independent. And that's gonna be a fight too. So that's the first step. And then of course, I think nowadays we are living in a little bit more sex positive society, a little bit more sexuality supportive society. So there are a lot of support groups up there. Facebook has some, Trevor Project has some. There are a lot of different resources, but we can talk about it too. I have some in mind. But reach out for support. You never know. There are allies up there too. So that's another way to do it. But definitely safety first, at the same time, cultivate that seed. And honor yourself for everything you've gone through, the good, the bad, the ugly. Oftentimes people tend to be more drawn to holding on to the good because it feels better. I always tell my clients that, guys, I'm not feeling-based therapist. So if you want to hire a therapist who's just gonna validate your feelings, you look at the wrong one. Because
you gotta go somewhere else.
You can go somewhere else, right? Because life is not always good. And if I just tell my clients, hold on to what's good, I don't think that's respecting their experience because they've experienced some good, but they've also experienced some bad and a lot of ugly. So I
Mm-hmm.
have to respect all of it. So I always tell my clients that the good, keep them, the bad, keep them closer, and the ugly, keep them closest. Because that's where, if you find a right therapist that really work with you, the ugliest are actually the ones that you can use to help yourself thrive and become a phoenix.
Wow. I love
I
your metaphors. They're so good.
thank you.
You're welcome.
But that's how I work. I tend to use my right brain imagining it. I just imagine my clients, right? I think they are phoenix. They were born, they had to go through hardship, they were burned, ashes, and they brought themselves up
Yeah.
over and over and over again. And I think that's why I want to encourage people, the bad, even the bad, right? They don't feel good, the ugliest, they definitely feels really shitty. Just because they feel bad doesn't mean they are bad.
Right. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's so important that just because they feel bad doesn't mean you're bad. I think
Yeah,
that's
just
so
like
important to stress.
yeah, just like coronavirus situation right now. I have so many couples that we are buying home, we are fighting more, blah blah blah. This feels really bad. I'm like, yeah, it's you feel bad, but doesn't mean it is bad because you guys are fighting more because you guys don't have any way out anymore. You can't
Right.
use work as excuse. You can't use I gotta make a phone call, go see my friend, go have a drink as excuse. You
Mm-hmm.
actually have to really face the reality of your relationship. So it's a good thing. It
Mm-hmm.
feels really bad, doesn't mean it's bad. Also, you're feeling really bad because you've been avoiding it your whole life.
Yep.
So that's my take on it, at least.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I like that you're honest about it. And that people, when they go to you, they're going there for your honesty and to actually help them do the work versus being like, okay, this is what you do. I think you're great and wonderful, and we'll see you
Yeah,
later. So that's really great.
I don't find that as respectful because my
Right.
notion of respect is I'm gonna talk straight with you. I'm gonna talk straight from the best in me. I'm not gonna talk straight with you as attacking you, calling you names, right? Because some people call that talking straight. And I know talk straight is just matter of fact. Here's what I know. Here's what's going on. You let me know where you at. I think that's respectful,
Yeah.
especially with a lot of the clients I work with, right? They've already gone through a lot of pretty negative experience in their family and even with mental health professionals.
Mm-hmm.
And also, people are not stupid. It's that we know we've all been in a situation where we met a person. That
Mm-hmm.
person might smell good, look good, charming, but inside of our head, we like, yeah, you full of shit. I don't believe you.
Exactly. Yeah. Not everything's rainbows and butterflies, and you're over here saying that it is.
Exactly. People are not stupid. Hence, my clients will know if I'm bullshitting them. So, for my clients who've already gone through enough bullshit in their life, I'm not going to be another offender in their history. If I am, I tell them, just let me know. Because this is me. That doesn't mean I'm always right. Doesn't mean I'm perfect. I want to learn. I want to grow too.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. So, the next question I kind of have is you touched on the topic of sexuality. Can you expand on what sexuality is?
Oh, okay. What sexuality is? I think the definition of sexuality has evolved so many times, so much for me. Right now, I feel like the more I know, the less I know. That's the type of space I'm in more often than not, right? But
Right.
sexuality, in conclusion, I would say sexuality is who you are,
Okay.
right? Who you are as a person, but not just on the sexual realm, right? It could be on the sexual realm, who you are as a person, what turned me on, what doesn't work for me, what turned me off, and what really get me going, okay? That could be part of your sexuality. But I think another way of looking at sexuality is how do you want to carry yourself as a man, as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your decision of how you're gonna carry yourself compared to how I should be based on society, based on family, based on my peer group, based on work environment. It's no, you have to decide as a sexual being, right? We all like pleasure, right? So as a sexual being, you want pleasure all of life. How do you want to carry yourself that will give you the most pleasure? And when I say pleasure, I'm not just talking about the feeling good pleasure. For
Mm-hmm.
me, part of pleasure is that respect, right? It's like It's that when we carry ourselves with the utmost respect and do the right thing, and when we look at the mirror, we feel pleasure, don't we? Because we feel like this is awesome. I'm
Yeah.
not being a douchebag.
I'm being a good person today.
Yes, I'm being a good person today. That's pleasure. But on top of it, that's your sexuality too, because you hold yourself accountable to be this sexual being as the person that you want to be.
Wow. I'm learning so much. So
Oh,
much. Thank you so much for sharing that. So taking away from that answer about sexuality, how can we start having more conversations about sexuality, whether it be in the home or within a peer group, or even just having that inner dialogue with yourself and just making it not so taboo to explore your sexuality?
and then the first question I will be asking is, how much are you willing to rock the boat?
Mm-hmm.
Which means, how much are you willing to do what's right,
Yeah,
and while simultaneously dealing with people's pushback? I really believe humans in general, right? I would say most of the people under the bell curve, they know what they want.
of course.
They know what feels good. But a lot of us don't do what's right. That really feeds our soul, because doing it, like I say, it takes, you could put yourself in danger. So don't do it if that's happening. But at the same time, there are times that you could do something, but due to people's choices of just live under the umbrella. So at least I have people who like me, but is that really you though? Versus
Right.
I'm gonna be me. I might lose some people, but I might gain some people. I think that'll be the first step. And I would say, speaking for myself personally and even professionally, um, personally doing my own sex and sexuality and relationship work, the journey has been really lonely. I
Mhm.
already shared, my family didn't support me. I think it wasn't over only just a few years ago, they were still telling me, why are you still a therapist? Why are you so self-abusive? Why don't you want to be a lawyer? You smart, you can do it,
Mm.
right? Later on, they have become a little bit more positive, because they're like, oh, you are actually making an income, so sure, be a therapist. You
Yeah.
hear that? Yeah, it's the fucked upness in them. It's like, ah, right. So, but like, you personally, it's been so lonely because I really didn't get much support. I
Right.
didn't get much support just to be the girl that I want to be, just being the human being I want to be. Needless to say, into my sexual realm, and
Mhm.
then professionally, the way I do therapy too, it's not how most therapists will do it, right? And then the way I really challenge my clients too, like when my clients are referred by their friends who have seen me, I ask them like, why did your friends refer you guys to me? They're like, well, our friends told us that you're gonna be really hard, you're gonna be brutal, but you get work done.
And that's what we want.
And that's what they want until they really get a taste of it. Then like, okay, why slow down a little bit, right? But that they want it. But the same, people know it. But I think that's why even professionally, I oftentimes feel alone, right? And then there's certain ideas I have. It's because I'm not, even if I read an article, I'm like, what about this? What about that? And
Right.
sometimes I don't find I have as many colleagues that I can really share those opinions with, because traditional therapy, it's about validating the shit out of your clients,
Yeah.
sitting there nodding your head, right? Even couples therapy, validating each other.
Hmm.
I'm not doing that. I'm all about how am I gonna help both of you individually to grow up? How am
Yeah.
I gonna help both of you individually to empower yourself? So when you don't get what you want, what you need from your partner, because welcome to life, you are not gonna lose your shit and become an ugly human being or become a doormat, whatever it is.
Hmm.
It's that what I would tell my man clients, like, dude, here's the thing. If you want respect, you have to get your boss together and do something. Or to my women client, women, if you don't like the way he's been treating you, you need to hold on to your vulva and do something. Because clearly he's not willing to give it to you.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
can continue to sit here being like, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you validating me? You've done that for how many years? It's not working. So you can continue to be crazy, hoping doing the same thing, get a different result, or we need to come over plan B.
Yes.
it's that type of, it's helping. I think that goes back to the root of sexuality, relationship, sex therapy, where it's not just about helping people feel good. It's not about feeling good, guys. It's about helping you guys become a self-empowered, self-cultivating, interdependent being. Not independent, not dependent, but interdependence, which means I can empower myself to be the best version of myself. At the same time, I can keep a connection with you. That's interdependence. That's my goal. At least that's how I do sex therapy, relationship work, sexuality work.
That's awesome. I already feel empowered just listening to you talk. So this is this is great.
That's my goal. So yeah.
Yes, no, it's wonderful. It's so wonderful. So kind of still on sexuality, but a little bit different topic. Um, you've you've talked about or you mentioned some clients for gender identity therapy. How does gender identity and sexuality correlate?
Our gender is part of our sexuality, right? I mean, for some, but okay, so when it comes to gender identity therapy, I tend to think about two camps.
Mm-hmm.
One camp are the clients that they are gender non-conformative.
Mm-hmm.
Another camp of my client that will be diagnosed with gender dysphoria.
Mm-hmm.
They all fall under the umbrella for gender identity, which means the gender non-conformative people, they just don't like that. Why do I have to be female? Why do I have to be male? The whole binary thing, right?
Right.
And also it's like, sure, even if I look like a male, why do I have to express myself as the traditional, typical male form,
Yeah.
right? It's like my son, right? I got him a pink shirt. And then some people like, you get your boy a pink shirt. I'm like, why not? He can pull it off. He looks so
He
handsome.
looks good in pink. Let him wear pink.
Oh, I wish I could show pictures of my son. I'm like, I'm a proud mama. But like, he has taught me a lot about sexuality too. I was just thinking about it this morning. Well, he had taught me about sexuality. Like I said before, my definition has evolved a lot.
Right.
I think my definition has evolved too as my role either change or get another role on my plate. As a mother, we were like playing tickling game this morning. I was poking his tummy, right? He will lie on the floor and he will tell me, poke, right? He would like, poke. I'm like, oh, poke him. And then at one point he say, stop. He's like, no, don't, or stop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay. So for me, there is sexuality. He's already practicing his sexuality with me that I like you poking me until I say no. And I have to respect that.
Building boundaries, which so many people lack. So it's so good he's learning that.
That kid is assertive. He's assertive. I think I did a training, with some of my colleagues one weekend, and right now we're doing everything virtually.
Right.
And we are wrapping up. So my son John, he was sitting on his chair, and my colleagues could see him, and they're like, John's quite independent. He just eating his dinner, and they even watch her to help him. He's like, no, don't.
Okay.
No. He just sitting there doing his thing. And then my colleague's like, what else can we expect from your kid? So
that's something right. So that's good.
So yeah, so going back to gender identity, gender is linked to our sexuality, who we are, how we identify ourselves. I think medically, biologically, right now, there are only two genders, female and male. That's fine, okay? Because that's the medical world. That's how the society still works right now. But doesn't mean we have to stick to it. For my gender non-conformative people, they're like, okay, I'm supposed to be a male, but I want to carry myself certain ways. So for example, I had one client, he was male, right? He's like, I'm okay being a male, but how I want to express myself as a male, not like wearing a t-shirt. Also, he's an engineer too. I don't want to wear t-shirts. I don't want to wear those I don't even want to wear shoes. I want to wear a dress. I want to put some tights on. I want to paint my toenails. And so I have to help him with that. Okay, so where are you? Because I want him to be safe. So we work with that. So what he started doing is like, why? I wore sandal to work yesterday and I paint my toenails purple.
Nice.
And he's like, I'm like, what? How did your colleagues take it? He's like, they kind of look at me, but I just kept walking. So even though it was a small step, it's just toenail, right? But it's a
step for him.
Exactly. He's no longer living in the closet. He's like, sure, I can be a male, but that doesn't mean that's how I want to carry myself. So that's the gender non-conformative client. Okay. Now my gender dysphoria client, are the ones that they are born into certain sex role, right? But who they really feel like they are doesn't match up. So I think I briefly mentioned this client. She was born as a female, but she's like, I never felt like I was a woman. No, I'm a man. But
Mm-hmm.
she was struggling because of a family, really ugly family with religion stuff, all types of stuff going on. But she was finally at a place like a lot of my transgender client or clients who haven't transitioned yet, that the experience they go through is that I can't live like this anymore. This is not me. So I would say some of us are fortunate that who we are born as and how we identify ourselves match. But for
Right.
some, it just don't, and it's painful. I imagine you size 5 and you have to wear size 4 shoes all the time.
No.
Whole life.
So uncomfortable.
So uncomfortable, so painful, and it's not living. So
Mm-hmm.
that's her, right? And a lot of my clients have gender dysphoria. So what we have to work on is first of all, give her a place to really get it off, that open her chest, right? Just
Right.
let it out. I'm here, just let it out. I can handle it. Because some of them, either with some of the mental health professionals they've worked with, or with their friends or whoever, they couldn't completely open up because when they open up, all those people say, oh my God, this is so much, or all of them just be like, oh, I'm so sorry for you, or something's like, we just don't know what to do, right?
Right.
So as their therapist, I have to show them, you can be you. You don't have to take care of my feelings. I can handle myself. If I can't, it's my job, my responsibility to ask you to pause as I recruit myself and then come back to you. I think that's important because sometimes some clients are too nice. They will start taking care of the therapist, and that
Mm-hmm.
will usually tell them, you better fire that therapist. If I do that, fire me too, because you didn't pay me to do that.
Right. Exactly. You didn't pay me for you to take care of me. So.
No, but I think a lot of the clients end up in that type of position. Hence, I really wish therapists or just anybody in my field, we can really do more work to push ourselves. Otherwise, we're not doing our clients any good. And also, quite frankly, I don't think that's ethical. I've
Right.
heard too many clients coming to me just telling me, yeah, my last therapist just sitting there for years, just sitting there. I'm like, great, I'm glad that I wasn't their therapist then because they
Right.
would be driving myself banana. But so going back to my gender dysphoria client, but she just like, so I have to let her just open up. Once she got that out, I think it's a testimony for her too. I can handle it. I know my shit enough that I can handle it. I can work with you. And the next step is help her explore, gather history. How have you been feeling this way? You want to make sure clinically they don't have depression, anxiety, other stuff going on. Because if those components are going on, it's going to impact our work around their gender identity. So I guess a thorough good assessment is important. Family history, medical history, psychological history, support system too, financial situation as well, risk assessment, all of it. And then help them navigate. How do you want to start exploring? Do you want to start wearing many clothes? So that's how she started. She actually, I think, started just, I'm going to wear more man clothes, a t-shirt, and then maybe a jacket, right? And then she started cutting her hair. She had long, beautiful hair when I first saw her.
Mm-hmm.
And then she came in one day, just chop it off. That was when she was a
Right.
she. And then eventually she's like, I want to be called a he. I'm like, I will go with that. So pronouns is important too. With
Yes.
some of my clients, it's pretty clear what pronoun they want to use. They tell me or they put in the paperwork. But even with that, I will still ask them. Like one of my trans clients 2 weeks ago, I told him, I told her that. So that's the pronoun you want to use now. If anytime you want to change your pronoun again, let me know.
Exactly.
I think just we have to be humble. We have to be respectful.
Yes.
That's that, right? So doing all of that, so she started exploring and then cutting her hair, changing her clothes, and then finally she's like, I want to get hormone therapy.
Okay.
I gotta make sure, like I say, clinically, mental health, she's stable, so make sure she's actually making an informed decision. She has to
Right.
get all the information about the risk. She has to be in contact with providers, medical providers. They're actually, they are expert in those fields. But as their therapist, I have to educate them too, the risk and then the impact, and they help them come up with a plan, safe plan for themselves, but also plan how you're gonna deal with bullies in your life when they start pushing you back,
Right.
as well as her relationship with her partner,
Okay.
right? And then, of course, they also want to get pregnant. So that case was multi-layered. She want to transition to a he, and
Uh-huh.
also they want a baby. So many things we gotta juggle.
Right.
I follow her lead, but at the same time, I'm still doing my job, giving her input. So she did. She got hormone therapy, and then eventually she want to get sex reassignment therapy.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So she got that type of surgery too. So that was her journey. But after that, I gotta make sure that what's the impact. Well, because you might have to grieve and lost something. That's part of it, right? And then is there an impact on the medication? Also, right now you have this new body. So in the past, maybe your breasts were one of your erotic zones. Right
Mm-hmm.
now they are gone. So, but you still don't have sex. You still don't have healthy sex and pleasure. Now, how else we gonna navigate it? So that's part of the work too. So that's the gender dysphoria client camp, and then the gender non-conformative client camp. Either way, it's really about gender identity therapy. It's really about helping people find a way that they feel really like close to themselves. This is me. I can carry myself, and I can live authentically. So, because a lot of them, they might know that's who they are, but they don't really show up in public. That means they're still hiding. So part of the work is how can I help you come up with some strategy so you can be who you are, continue to carry yourself, especially in the face of people's pushback. You're gonna
Yes.
feel anger, you're gonna feel shame, all of it, all normal. And then how you gonna do it? Because if
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna look at those people to give you what you want, clearly they're not doing it. But through that journey, I just see my client just get really strong.
Yeah.
And I
That's
think that is
wonderful.
so, I love it.
That
I
sounds
love
like such
love.
a rewarding position to be in to help people become the best versions of themselves. I
Yeah.
think it's so wonderful.
It's rewarding, it's humbling, it's so hopeful too.
Yeah.
I think going back to what I said before, the ugliest might feel really bad, but I've seen over and over and over again that my clients, they could go from I really hated the worst spot in their life at that moment, and they got better and stronger than how they were before.
Mm-hmm.
That's hopeful. And
Yeah.
it's humbling because I saw the work they put in and they made it.
And they did it. Yeah.
And that's hope. I think that's hope. Hope doesn't come from feeling good. Hope comes from either yourself or seeing people go through shit and they still good. Oh, they're even better.
Yeah. You showed me your goosebumps in the beginning. I now have goosebumps from hearing such these positive examples of how struggle can turn into hope. And I think that that's so amazing. Um, I wanted to talk a little bit about your Instagram page. So I saw that you were talking about polyamory. Am I saying that correctly?
Mhm.
And relationships. And so that's a newer topic for me that I'm starting to learn about. And I'm interested in how you personally help people on that journey, but also how can other practitioners who do come in contact with individuals that are in a polyamorous relationship, how can they be supportive, especially if it's a new topic to them?
Sure. So I can do a quick introduction, a brief summary about what polyamory is. Polyamory, it's a form of consensual non-monogamous relationship, right? In that type of relationship, there could be one person, two people, multiple partners, or partake in it.
Mm-hmm.
And the participation, the interaction, the relationship could be purely romantic or could be purely sexual, but the difference is they are not one night stands because they do have emotional investment in it. So
Mm-hmm.
people are not just in it because they want to fuck. They're not
Right.
just in it because my wife is not getting me laid, so I'm here to fuck with you. No, people are actually in it because I do care about you. I do want to be with you. So I do want to spend my time and energy and effort to cultivate this relationship. So sometimes I look at polyamorous relationship is having multiple monogamous relationship going on,
Okay.
which is a lot of work. Because one monogamous relationship is hard enough.
Yes.
Imagine you have multiple partners. And then some of them, they might have different gender identities too. They might have different gender expressions too. Some of them might be actually in another open relationship, whatever it is. So it could get chaotic at times. Hence, the work is actually, the work they are required to do, it's a lot more work too.
Right.
Polyamorous relationship has become more, I guess, more of a common term in the recent years, but it's actually been around for quite a while. I think there was polyamorous relationship in the States in the 1800s, and the most recent one is I think the late, it's around sexual revolution time.
Okay.
I believe it's around the 1600s. Yeah, no, not 1600s, 1960s. Sorry, yeah, that
Okay.
was way back. Right, so it's around the sexual revolution time. There were already polyamorous community, but I think right now it's becoming more and more common because people in their community are speaking up more and more. And I think just the whole revolution going our whole society about gender, about sexuality, all of it. So that's polyamorous relationship.
Okay.
And that type of relationship requires a lot of communication, but not just any communication. Here's my take on communication. People are never out of communication. Couples are never out of communication. So when clients are saying we're having communication issues, I'm like, you don't. I actually did a little YouTube video about that too. That couples, even people, we don't have communication issues. We are having communication issues because we didn't hear what we want to hear. Or we're having communication issue because I only told you half of the story, but there's still communication, which is I don't want to tell you everything. Right? So the communication in a polyamorous relationship has a lot of honesty, but it's a self-driven honesty. It's the honesty that I'm going to tell you all, even the ones I know you're not going to like, but I'm going to put on the table. Hence, everybody's ability to manage their own emotional experience and still do the right thing, it's even tenfold. So that's why I love working with that population. I admire those clients too. It's because they show me once again what's challenging, but it is doable, but a lot of work.
Yes.
And for practitioners who do either interest in working with the population or have clients come in, if they don't have much trainings or backgrounds or anything, any experience with it, of course, seeking consultation is always helpful, right? Because you're not doing yourself or your clients any service if you just try to fake it. You can't fake it. Clients will know. So be honest about it. I'm interested in it if you are. If you're not interested in it, just say, actually, it's not something I'm comfortable working with, but I'm more than happy to provide a referral for you. For the practitioner that actually are interested in it, seeking consultation, do some readings, but you've got to be careful what you are reading too. And then get some training on, but also just explore with the couples. Like, what are you guys looking for? Stay open and know your limitation. As soon as you know your limitation, and why I say that, I think it goes back to my training as a sex therapist, because in my training, I was exposed to so many different types of sexuality. And I gotta know what are certain things I'm really comfortable with, what's something I'm not as comfortable with, what's something I'm still curious about. So know, as a therapist, knowing your own boundary too, is gonna be a great key, right? Great roadmap for you to decide how much further can I go with this client before I lead them into a darker spot.
Yeah.
That's the introduction.
No, thank you. I really appreciate that. Like I said, I'm very new to the topic. I'm just fresh out of graduate school. So anything that I can learn from anybody, I always try to take that opportunity. I really appreciate you breaking that down for me and for the people watching.
One more thing about polyamory. I have to throw this out there, right?
Please.
I have so many clients coming to see me. Then we either we want to do a polyamorous relationship or we are in a polyamorous relationship. I'm like, okay, so tell me what you've been doing or what do you have in mind. More often than I have to tell them, guys, I gotta tell you, you guys don't want a polyamorous relationship, or you guys are not in a polyamorous relationship. You guys want or in a polyfuckery relationship. You just want to find someone to fuck.
Right.
Because you were telling me when this thing happened, okay, when you clearly had an agreement with your partner about tonight, we're both gonna go out and explore. And even if I find a person that I find attractive with, I won't have any contact with them. You say, okay, you want a polyamorous relationship, and you make an agreement with your partner and you broke it, and then you feel justified for it. That's not very amorous, because amorous means loving. Amory means loving. Polyamory, poly means many. Amory means love. So when you had an agreement, you broke it, and then you felt quite entitled to it, I don't see loving. You just want to do whatever you want, and you're using polyamory as an excuse.
Right.
So that's a very fine line that a lot of the practitioners, you have to be careful. You have to watch out. Are they really trying to do polyamory work, or are they doing what I call polyfuckery work?
I like that term. You should trademark that.
I should. My colleagues told me that, well, only you will come off turn like that. Trademark it.
Yes, I think that's a great one. Um, so let's see. I have one more question.
Mhm.
Uh, well, I probably have a couple after that, but a big one is what resources or somebody who is engaging in sexual activities, what resources can they access to make sure that they're being safe? We talked a lot about nurturing your seed, and maybe you're not in a place where you can openly be practicing or engaging in sexual activities, but you are doing it in some type of privacy. How can you make sure that you're have access or are accessing safe models to practice safe sexual activities?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to say everybody go talk to your high school counselors, but probably not a good route either. So a very good place for people to go to, even personally and professionally, I will use sometimes is the Center for Sex Education.
Okay.
They provide really thorough information, really up-to-date information, and accurate and very accurate too. Also, they have books, activities that and games that you can play either as a family or at home, right? So even for me, that there are some games that I can play with my kids to teach about sex ed. So that's a good place to go.
Okay.
Another place I like to go is International Society for the Study of Women's Sexual Health, right? And I wish there's a society for men's sexual health. One of my passions is really about working with men, give men more support. Not because I don't enjoy working with women, but I feel that there's so much more support for women's sexual health out there,
Right.
health and pain. So that place is a good place to go because it does do some training. You have to, if they're doing the training, you have to watch it right away. After they finish, if you want to watch it, you have to become a member. But still not too bad either. But they will talk about vaginismus, pain, pelvic floor, all information about women's sexuality. So I find that to be helpful too.
Okay.
National Coalition for Sexual Health is another good place to go. They just some of the common ones that I have in mind. And then finally, if you are actually there's another book, Come As You Are. Come
Okay.
As You Are, that's a good book for women. And then I have one book. Oh here, this one. I have my little library next to me.
I love it. The new male sexuality, the truth
Yeah,
about men's sex. That's
sorry.
all.
Yeah,
That's great and pleasure.
yeah, exactly. So I think that's what I want to do in my practice. I want to help women, but I want to help men too. I mean, those are the terms we have. But I
Right.
just want, it doesn't matter how many genders we have. I just want everything to be as balanced as possible. Because women, you can get stronger, but if you're not helping men to get stronger too, it's still gonna fall flat, right? So I always try to make sure keep the balance. Also, I believe within each individual there is the male and the female too,
Yeah.
right? So it's either way, it's about really helping everybody to own their sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I don't have a place for men's sexuality, but there are some books out there. There's another book called Penis Power for
Okay.
women too. I like that book as well.
Awesome.
I think it's good for women to read something about men too. And of course, certain information, even if they are for women's sexuality health, sexual health, doesn't mean it can't apply to men. So for example, pelvic floor. Women we have to do a lot of pelvic floor. I think we need more pelvic floor education about how important our pelvic floor is. But of course, there's an exercise you can do. Men's pelvic floor health is quite important too for their sexual health, for their functioning, for their health overall as well. So some of the information about women, some of the psychoeducation, so you can still be applied to men. And if men want more information, they can always reach out to their urologist too. But it would be helpful if they could find a provider that works with an ASAP therapist or educator.
Okay.
I'm certified by ASAP, American Association of Sex Educators, Counselors, and Therapists.
Okay.
It's a very you have to meet a lot of high standards in order to get certified from them. And they do provide therapists or educators. Yeah, sex educators and therapists, the ones that are certified by them, you have to know your shit.
Yeah.
It's just a requirement, right? You have to keep up with the CEUs. And the trainings they have, it's always quite great. So those are some places they can go.
Great, wonderful. And I'll make sure to be in contact with you after this video so that we can link it into the description, and people will be able to find your website with your resources on it, but also find these resources as well. So thank you so much for that. How can we make sex a normal conversation at home?
Just talk.
I know you said people don't have communication issues, they just got to do it.
Yeah, because I had one client, she told me, I asked her, how was sex communicated in your household? She's like, we don't talk about sex. All I know is when we are watching TV or watching a movie, there's anything that's kissing, my dad got out and turned off the TV. Hey, there's communication.
Yep, he's saying don't do it.
Exactly, right? So it's about just talk, but really talk openly. Hence, you have to be prepare yourself to get the pushback, because the reason we don't talk because we know the pushback. So your job is I'm just gonna talk and see the pushback and deal with it. But of course, like I said before, safety comes first too. Because there's some family, if anybody does anything like that, they are gonna be a lot of danger. So you have to assess your safety first. Otherwise, just push it. Even if you don't get the response that you want from your loved one or from your parents, at least you are practicing your right, your birthright, talking about you, what you want. And I think for me, that's the goal of talking. Not that I talk, so you hear me. They heard you. They're not deaf unless they are, right? The purpose of talking is practicing my birthright. The purpose of talking is to help myself actually hear what I'm saying, to make sure that I'm actually saying what I want to say, and also I'm actually holding myself accountable. That's the purpose of talking. So just talk, but just remember, the purpose of talking is not that you'll get what you want from them. The purpose of talking is to help yourself get stronger and stronger, getting closer to the destination of what you want and where you want to be.
Yeah.
And then I will say the more you start talking, even if you don't talk, you will watch people. That's what humans do. You will hear people that kind of share some of the similar ideas, or you will watch people who do something that kind of, oh yeah, I like that. Then once again, you have to get yourself together and expose yourself a little bit more with safety in mind. Yes. And just cultivate that type of relationship. You plant the seed inside, now you're trying to spread the seed externally too.
Yeah.
And then find, I would say, find ethical therapists. I don't want to say find a good therapist, right? Find an ethical therapist that really do their own work. It's like, I've met therapists like, yeah, my marriage is pretty shitty, and I'm doing couples therapy. I'm not saying you have to be, I'm not saying you have to be in a great relationship in order to do couples work or relationship work, individual work. All I'm saying is, if you know your relationship is not going well, okay, are you putting any work into it? Are you watching how you might be bringing your own stuff into your work with your clients? Because therapists, we are humans too. You're gonna have ups and downs too. But if you know your marriage is not great, you don't do anything, why do you think you have the right to be out there helping other people? Talk the talk and walk the walk. So I guess find therapists that really talk the talk and walk the walk. Do their work, do their training, and stay on top of it. And also, as clients, don't be shy. It's okay to fire your therapist. It's okay to tell your therapist, you're full of shit, I don't want to see you. I mean, as the therapist, tell your clients that hey, if I'm full of shit, you think that, let me know. I'm very clear to my clients that you don't have to take care of my feelings. You don't have to take care of me. They're just adult to adult. Let's do get up.
Yeah. I love that model. I think that's so great. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to break topics down for me, to explain different aspects of what it is to be a sex therapist and how you are able to find hope in some really hard situations. I think that's just so inspiring. And what I usually like to ask people before they leave is, what is one thing that you took away from today's conversation, and what is one thing that you would like our viewers to take away from this as well?
What's one thing I took away from today's conversation? I think the one thing I took away from today's conversation with all of you is, I still got a lot of work to learn to do. it goes back to my motto. The more I know, like, the less I know. It's like when I mentioned pelvic floor. It's like, yeah, pelvic floor is important. I know certain things about pelvic floor. And then my mind's also like, but what about this? What about that? Like, oh yeah, I don't know as much about men's pelvic floor situation. I don't have
Right.
as many referrals for men. So I think that's why I got away from that. I
Mm-hmm.
do know certain things, but the more I know, the less I know. Hence, there's still more work for me to do, and there's still more things for me to learn and practice.
Yeah.
And what I want all the viewers to take away from is be proud of who you are. One of my sons, and also one of my favorite books for him is just be who you are. Just be you.
Yeah.
And if you don't have anybody around you to back you up, that's fine because you got you. Is it ideal? No. But
Mm-hmm.
that's the situation you're in right now, and you have to hold on to yourself. So just be who you are. But guess what though? Be the you that you are proud of. Be the version of yourself that you can look at the mirror just like, I love me. Sometimes my husband would tell me, babe, I think your head's getting too big again. I'm like, can you blame me? I'm quite lovable.
Yeah, like I'm great.
I'm
What's
great.
not to love?
Exactly. I'm not perfect, but I think that's what I mean by be who you are. Be the you that's the good, the bad, the ugly. Hold yourself accountable. The ones that you don't like, it's like you have to hold yourself accountable to the point that I did that. You gotta be able to validate yourself on that and then put in the work to change yourself. So it's be who you are and become a better and better and better version of who you are. That way when you look at the mirror, real mirror or not, you know, I know what I'm good at. I also know what I'm not good at that I gotta work on. It's not about good or bad, it's just about this is just me. Take it or leave it.
Right. That's awesome. That's great advice. Now I'm going to start implementing that into my life to be
Do
proud of
that.
myself. So,
Be proud of yourself, right? Be proud of yourself when you do something good. And not be proud of yourself when you have fall off your own wagon too, when you have fall off your own standard. I think that's a real pride. That's actually true self-esteem, true pride. That I'm not just feeling good about myself when I'm like doing good. I know I can also feel good about myself when I screw up because I screw up. I don't like it. I'm gonna change.
yeah. Oh, wow. You have been so inspiring, and I've really enjoyed my time talking with you. And I can't wait to release this on YouTube and just have so many people be able to hear the knowledge that you've dropped today, because it's been really amazing. I really appreciate you having taken the time to be with us today.
I hope so. Yeah. Just I'm always here, right? Just to really help people just move forward and not have to live with a life of shame and guilt.
Yeah.
Proud of yourself.
And before we stop this call, can you just tell everybody what the name of your practice is called?
Sure. The name of my practice is the Relationship Center of Colorado.
Okay, and we can find you on social media and you're online as well, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, YY.
I hope you all enjoyed this episode on discussions with the social worker. Thanks again for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, and like our content on Instagram. Have a great day.